Get ready for a few changes to our weather pattern across Central Oregon through the next couple of days. Hey everyone, good afternoon. Darrell Winninger here, Chief Meteorologist at Central Oregon Daily News, and we're about to take a deep dive into your most reliable forecast. Spoiler alert, we're just looking at some up and down temperatures, maybe a few sprinkles by this weekend, but there's going to be a significant shift to the weather pattern here in the next several days. So we're going to go ahead and take a deep dive into this forecast, look at what's been happening today, why it's so sunny, why it's so gorgeous, and what happens next. So bear with me, this is going to take several minutes, and if you have any questions, drop them in the comments section below. We're going to do a little forecasting with you. So for tonight, it's going to be clear. It's going to be chilly. Those temperatures falling back to near freezing, which means low 30s and some 20s possible. By Friday, under abundant sunshine, a little more warming is expected. What's happening is there's a broad ridge of high pressure that's building into the Pacific Northwest, and this is acting like a blocking high, or maybe even a bouncer, keeping all those pesky cold fronts from coming into the region. But here through the next couple of days, we are going to see a pair of fronts roll in, only drop a few sprinkles, and then move on out of here. And that starts on Saturday with our next week front. So let's start off with what's happening right here and right now. Across Central Oregon, we have tons of sunshine. There are some light clouds through the high desert, none of them bringing any precipitation anywhere near us, and this pattern continues through the day, the overnight hours, and the day tomorrow. So Friday brings more sunshine. Some afternoon clouds are going to be possible. What we do see in this is that there is a little bit of haze over the high desert. This camera that is on the bottom left corner, that's at Bachelor from the Outback camera overlooking Tumlo Mountain and Bend, and we do see that thin layer of haze over Central Oregon. So here through the last couple of days, since we've had our first prescribed burn, I've been keeping an eye on air quality conditions. Right now, we are sitting in the green, good air quality. The base map, the contouring on the map, that is the hourly average from the DEQ. They send their data to airnow.gov. Airnow.gov puts together this base imagery, and it shows that hourly averages are good or in the green. And the dots are from eSpace, and those are independent sensors. Those are different sensors independent from the DEQ, and they show more real-time data, and they're showing it in the green as well. So we have good air quality, tons of sunshine, and very pleasant conditions, near average for this time of the year. Even when we look at our cameras from ODOT, those traffic cameras, we have good traffic flow and no wetness on the roads, just a lot of shadows. And here's what's happening. We do have this high pressure that's keeping it clear. Satellite imagery shows no cloud cover. There have been a few clouds over the high desert, and the closest rain is well off to our east, over Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, and even a little bit further to the south, but all of that is rolling in the other direction. And our next front is way off the Pacific, the coastline over the Pacific Ocean and the Gulf of Alaska. So let's just focus on the infrared satellite imagery, and I put an enhancement on this where you're seeing the brighter colors, those oranges, those reds, even the yellows. That's where you have taller clouds, and they are a little bit higher in the air. And right now, for most of the Pacific Northwest, we have very little going on. For Washington and Oregon, over Idaho, that's where there's a shift, and that's where we have more clouds, some showers. But even here through the next couple of hours, as these few light clouds work their way through our Tri-County area, it's just staying dry. So that's the Pacific Northwest. Let's zoom out a little bit more, take it over to the Pacific Ocean, because we have a couple of things happening there. First, a broad ridge of high pressure. Second, a cold front going from Alaska all the way through the Gulf of Alaska and into the Pacific Ocean, and then another broad ridge of high pressure to the west of that with a little bit more activity out over the Aleutian Islands. Each one of these features is going to impact us through the next couple of days. Next 24 hours, that high pressure stays with us, and then that cold front pushes through and another high pressure builds into the region. Right now, over the Pacific Ocean, just off the Oregon coast, some of those isobars, those constant lines of pressure, are pretty stacked up kind of tight. So it does look like we have some breezy winds offshore through the high desert. It's been breezy at times, at best 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting at 20. Not too bad at all. Switching Switching gears a little bit more, going to water vapor imagery, which shows where there's abundant moisture in the atmosphere. Look at everything from Billings through Salt Lake City, going even further south into Utah. You can see where there is a lot of moisture. You can see where there could be some precipitation, but for us, where we have these yellows and the solid blue, we don't have much moisture over the high desert, just some light clouds working their way into the Tri-County area, and the closest of the moist air, the moist cloud covers that's rolling our way is well over Canada, so not even close to us. And this high pressure that's out over the Pacific Ocean has a very dry air mass associated with it, and it will bring us some warming through the day tomorrow. So let's go ahead, talk about that warming. Today, or really in the last 24 hours, temperatures have been ranging with highs between the 50s and the 70s. And some of these are holdovers from yesterday. Really, we haven't gotten that warm as far as some of those locations go. So just looking at current temperatures, they're in the 50s with 64 in Warm Springs. Now, just about 30 minutes, maybe an hour ago, we had a few more 60s on the map, bringing us close to that forecast high of 60 degrees. But in reality, look at this. In the past 24 hours, temperatures have dropped between 7 and 11 degrees. So it's 7 to 11 degrees cooler than it was 24 hours ago. But remember, that high pressure that's out over the Pacific Ocean, that helps us warm up through the day tomorrow. And that next warming trend is going to be brief, but it's going to be just enough to get us into the 60s with a few 70s possible. So let's look at that weather pattern. Right now, the forecast model that I'm showing you includes a couple of things. It shows streamlines, so winds, direction, and when you see a whole bunch of them stacked together and moving faster, that's where you have stronger winds. It also shows the colors. The colors are geopotential height, and really what we use that for is to focus on the thickness of the layers of the atmosphere, and that'll help us show where there's a ridge of high pressure. Where there's high pressure, that is going to be different than where you have an area of low pressure. And so we have a broad ridge of high pressure out over the Pacific Ocean that's stretching into the Pacific Northwest tomorrow. There's an area of low pressure north of Winnipeg and another one near Anchorage. Now, there is a cold front that's working its way into our area by Saturday. But under this ridge of high pressure, we're expecting temperatures to pick up even more. But that's when we're going to be topping out in the 60s with a few 70s. Just a light breeze is expected, could pick up by the afternoon. Then by Saturday, cold front number 1 pushes in. This is a weak front, and as it rolls through, some sprinkles are going to be possible during the midday and afternoon hours on Saturday, followed by clearing almost immediately. And so we're going to be wrapping up Saturday with more sunshine than clouds. We just have some midday and afternoon sprinkles that'll be pushing through, and winds are getting breezy for many of us. Highs in the 60s and 50s. Then by Sunday, a trough, a very weak cold front pushes into the region. Now, this has some lingering moisture from that latest system that is going to be rolling through the high desert, and with that, some sprinkles are possible, but with the direction it's coming, the strength that it's going to be at, I really think the mountains are going to absorb a lot of that moisture. Some sprinkles could be possible for Easter Sunday. And with that back-to-back weak cold front action that we have another dip in temperature. So we're going from mid to upper 60s tomorrow into the upper 50s and lower 60s on Sunday. So that's nearly a 10-degree drop in temperatures. Some sprinkles are expected Saturday during the midday and afternoon hours, and then again on Sunday. And Sunday's a lower chance, but it is a chance, and winds are going to be breezy at times. By Monday and Tuesday, we start to clear out. More sunshine. More sunshine leads to warming. Warming brings with it a light breeze for many of us, and we're back into another stretch where we're going to be having temperatures back above average for this time of the year. A light breeze, tons of sunshine. Here's how it plays out. Here's your forecast model. And there we do have that ridge of high pressure out over the Pacific Ocean, remnants of a low pressure that was impacting us earlier in the week, then a cold front, and then another ridge of high pressure further out over the Pacific Ocean. So here through tonight, it stays clear. High pressure builds even stronger into the high desert, and this is going to be the dominant feature that's going to be driving our weather pattern here through the day Friday and even Friday night. And so very little cloud cover until we hit the afternoon and evening. Some prefrontal clouds, increasing clouds overnight. But remember, dominant feature, that high pressure. That high pressure is a blocking high, and it breaks down this cold front as it rolls in. So by 10 a.m. Saturday, more clouds over the high desert, some sprinkles develop, and then that cold front clears out, and that's when we get some clearing during the PM hours. By Sunday, that trough, the second, the reinforcing cold front rolls in, and again, some sprinkles are possible. Mountains absorb most of it, maybe some flurries in the highest elevations. But let's look at a different forecast model. This is a long-range model, and it's not as high resolution, but it still paints a pretty good picture of what's going to happen through the next couple of days, but definitely after the next couple of days. So we're actually going to start this at 11 p.m. on Sunday with that trough rolling through. And once it clears out, Monday brings with it partly cloudy conditions. In and out cover expected, but by Tuesday, a little more sunshine. By Wednesday, even more sunshine. And by Thursday, we're starting to track our next system. So late in the 7-day planner, some of the long-range forecast model guidance is hinting at another system rolling in. And as it does, we're looking at more clouds Thursday. By Thursday night, going into Friday, some showers are going to be possible. But between now and Saturday at 11 p.m., we're looking at some sprinkles Saturday. Now remember, a few more sprinkles are expected on Sunday. And winds this afternoon have not been that strong. We're showing actual wind speeds across the Tri-County area of Central Oregon, and they're about 5 to 15 miles per hour, 16 miles per hour in Paulina. Gusts coming with those winds are just between 10 and 20 miles per hour. So nothing out of the ordinary, nothing extraordinary, just winds that are a little breezy at times. And here through this afternoon, that's pretty much what it's been. Remember, with this graphic, everything to the left of the white line is observed, everything to the right of the white line is forecast. And the last time it updated was 4:30. And so we have winds that have been picking up here through the last couple of hours. And by tonight, after sunset, they're going to be dipping down to a gentle breeze. Then through the day on Friday, a light breeze is expected. So not even near as breezy as it was today, and today wasn't that bad. Then by Saturday, that next system starts to roll through. Stronger winds are expected by the afternoon. But again, it's just going to be for 5 or 6 hours that we're getting breezy. Now for tonight, we're falling back into the 30s with some 20s on the map. So a cold start is expected, a frosty start for much of the Tri-County area. But the frost isn't going to stick around too long, because once the sun rises, we start warming up, man. It speeds up, and temperatures will be topping out in the 60s. Average high 67, maybe 68 degrees if we get a little bit more warming, and a few 70s are expected. So here's your 7-day planner. We have that 68 for Friday. Then by Saturday, that next cold front pushes through. We get some sprinkles by the midday and afternoon hours, then clearing by the evening, and then another dip in temperature Sunday with a reinforcing front. Both fronts, Saturdays and Sundays, are going to be weak, not bringing much at all in the way of precipitation. The few sprinkles you see on there are just going to be that, a couple sprinkles even possible through Easter Sunday. By Monday, we still have some clouds lingering around, then we get our clearing, then we get our warming, and we are back into the mid-60s just before another weak front rolls into the region by Thursday. That is the latest in weather. Join us tonight on Central Oregon Daily News. We'll have the latest headlines and your most reliable forecast. We'll see you then.